Hi, and welcome to my review of Final Fantasy XVI, the 2023 exclusive game for the PS5. First, let me start off by saying I've played 54 hours of this game, and I enjoyed almost all of my time with this game. Let me start off with the good parts of the game, the parts that I found were the highlights and made the game worth playing. First of all, this game is gorgeous. From start to finish, the vistas, everything, it looks so good. There was not too many moments where I would say the graphics were bad. Everything was well done. As well done as the graphics were, the fights were a buttery smooth 60 FPS. I'm not sure how it's done, but if you listen to the Digital Foundry videos, it seems like they do dynamic resolution scaling, so you get a little bit worse picture, but it keeps everything going at 60 frames per second, even with all the particle effects and all the special stuff coming on the screen. I don't think there's a single fight where I was like, oh, it's chugging, or I'm not enjoying this, it's getting stuttery. Every fight was so smooth. As you can see in this video, I'm going pretty hard. I'm using all my specials, and it's not dropping a frame. It looks really good. It looks really smooth. It might not be 4K or 1080p or whatever, but you can't really tell because you're moving so fast and there's so much action. When I played it, there was an update to turn down the motion blur. I had it set to 2 out of 5, so I had it quite a bit lower than the initial launch of the game, but I think it was still a very good looking game. With more motion blur, it looked more cinematic, but I like a little bit more crispy graphics. As good as the graphics look in regular fights, I don't have anything in my video showing this as not to spoil anything, but there are these summon fights which are called icon fights. Basically, the characters turn into what the summons used to be in the previous games. Like you got Shiva, Ifrit, that's all I'm going to mention because that's at the very beginning of the game. Those fights look fantastic. At first, you do start off a little bit handicapped in those fights. Like you don't have full control. It feels like if these are going to be the fights, I'm not going to like it because it's just like you keep pushing one or two buttons. You're not really doing much. But it turns out that as you progress, your character has a stronger bond. And with this stronger bond, you do get more control. So by the midpoint to the 3/4 mark of the game, you're in full control over these fights, and they are fantastic. There's so much going on. I'm not going to spoil anything, but some of these fights are amazing. Between all these amazing battles, you do get to visit a couple of cities. I think the first one is Lost Wing. There's also Martha's Reach. There's a couple. This one is a little bit about halfway in the game you get here. As you can see, it is quite gorgeous. Like it's been handcrafted, I would say. Every area is really cool to look at. It all looks really good. Lots of NPCs. They give you side quests. They're chatting. Some of these side quests are quite fun. And the best part about this game is the fast travel system. There is a lot of places to go, and I find the fast travel is almost instantaneous. As you saw at the beginning of the video, when you load into the game, you click continue and you're pretty much in the game, maybe 4 or 5 seconds at best. But these fast travels are, I would say, the most amazing part of this game on a technical level. I'm used to waiting, a minute, 2 minutes for some games, like playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on the PS4. It was like 2 minutes to load into a game. Fast traveling between cities or areas was like a 2-3 minute wait. I would go get myself a snack, a drink, whatever. It was just like, okay, I'm gonna go on my phone, check my text messages. This game, you're maybe glancing at your phone and it's already loaded. Like you might be able to see the time. The final really good point about this game, and unfortunately it is at the very end, is that final mission. It has a really, really good payoff. Like it is one of the best endings to a game I have ever seen in terms of what you get to do as your player character. The story is concluded quite well, and I would say it is something that you are working towards, and you do feel like everything you've earned in the game gets to be used. It is very well done. It looks fantastic. the person that you are, the big boss that you're fighting against, has been kind of shown throughout the story, and you kind of get to see what he is. And as the further you get into the story, you get to learn more about his background or her background. I'm not going to say anything more than that. And when you're doing this final fight, all of this experience you've gained, you have to use against this final boss. And it is done so well. This final fight has such a great conclusion to the whole game. It really makes the whole 50 plus hours that I've played a real payoff. Like, I didn't feel like I wasted my time, even though in some parts of the game I was a little bit like, oh, this is kind of not my style. But that final fight just made everything worth it and make way more sense. So if you're replaying the game, because to get the Platinum Trophy, you do need to play this game on the Final Fantasy mode, which is the hardest mode in the game, then you will see things in a different light and probably enjoy this game quite a bit more than someone playing it for the first time. I have only finished this game once, and I do not plan on playing it again, mainly because of lack of time. If I was in my early 20s with no responsibilities, I'd probably try it. I'm just not a big enough Final Fantasy fan to be going through the whole game again on the hardest mode right after I just finished the game. I did, however, have a really good friend who actually lent me this copy of the game that I talked to as I was playing, and he was able to explain a lot of the stuff that maybe I missed or didn't notice. Because when you're playing a game twice, you sometimes the second time around, you will notice things that you didn't see the first time. Just like in some movies, you will have the same thing. If you're watching a movie and you watch it once, certain things catch your eye. When you watch it again, you know what's going to happen. Some other things might catch your eye. For example, I will give you this one little bit that I learned from my friend. The icons, when you're fighting them, depending on their eye color, is telling you, the player, who is controlling them or what is their kind of, like what kind of actions they're taking. If the person calling the icon is in control or if they're not in control. And just knowing that little bit of information early on made so much more sense, because I was like, what is happening? Why is this happening? But because I was told this information to look at the eyes, then I knew what was happening, and I put two and two together, and it made the story make so much more sense to me. I really did appreciate a little bit of knowledge, and my friend got that because he finished the game twice. He also did dig into Reddit and saw some of the theories, and that one theory, I don't know if it's official, but it definitely made so much more sense in the grand scheme of things. I really did appreciate knowing that knowledge, and it was good to talk to someone that finished the game twice and was able to tell me to, like, oh, in this scene you might want to be, looking out for this. Did you notice this? It just made me think, and it just made me really more invested in the story. Playing this game twice would have probably done the same thing. It's just on a time constraint basis, I did not have that. But that final fight would have probably been worth playing again. Maybe in a year or two I'll go back. Maybe when all the DLC comes out, I'll do a quick playthrough. The nice thing that they also give you is they have these accessories you can wear that let you make the game easier, and you can even wear them on the Final Fantasy mode, like auto dodge and have Torgal automatically do the attacks and everything. I had the auto Torgal on all the time, and near the end of the game, I guess I'm not good enough at this game. I did have the auto dodge because I was getting pretty much wrecked in some of the fights, especially the later fights with the big bosses. And I have no shame in that. I enjoyed the story. I'm not going to punish myself just to get, oh, I've beat the game on the hardest difficulty with no help. It definitely lets you do that, and it lets you enjoy the story, even if you're not the greatest player in the world. And I really appreciate that about this game. And unfortunately now, I do have to get to the bad parts of the game. And there's not many, to be honest, but there are a few things that did bother me. First and foremost, and this is going to sound very odd, is the frame rate outside of battle. When you're in battle, it's such a buttery smooth 60 FPS, but when you get outside of the battles, they do try to go for more fidelity, so better image quality, and you do notice that you're probably hovering in the 50s. It is noticeable in some areas more than others, But when you're actually controlling the camera with the right stick, you can definitely feel there's a bit of a difference compared to battles. It does feel a bit odd, and it does take time to get used to, but it's not a deal breaker. I had this game set to frame rate mode at all times, and that helped a lot compared to the fidelity mode, or the resolution mode as they call it. But I would say it still had times of slowdown when there was a lot going on, like when you're in some of the cities and it's a little bit busier, or you're looking at some of the bigger vistas. And I can't blame the game. It's doing a lot, and there's a lot happening. I do wish they had a way to lock it at 60 frames a second and prioritize frame rate throughout the whole game. Personally, I don't have a 4K TV. I just play on a 1080p display. So for me, this would not have been an issue. I would have just locked it. Even if it drops below 1080p, I don't think I would have cared that much, as long as the frame rate was consistent, because I love buttery smooth frame rates. The other problem I had with this game, which was unfortunate, was the side quests. At the beginning, they do throw them out at you, and it is essentially, most of them are fetch quests, which is okay, but they're pretty much all fetch quests. The payoff of all of these side quests is you do get to see the background of the world. You get to see how people are treated. Like, there's this one mission where these two slaves are brought to your hideaway, and you are tasked with getting cloth so they can get clothes. And you can see when you finish that mission how they were treated and how they can't believe that these are their clothes, they're free, and they can make their own decisions. Stuff like that is great for world building. But they throw so many of these side quests at you that by the halfway point, I was like, I don't want to do any of these. Like, these are so boring. I'm just doing the same thing over and over. I go there, kill a monster, bring the stuff back, I get a little bit of story. I didn't think the payoff was good enough. However, mentioning all this, my friend who advised me about other things in this game and who I talked to as I was playing did tell me that there are a couple side quests near the end that actually have cutscenes and good payoffs. These ones, I ended up getting a guide from him, and he told me which missions I had to do exactly, because I didn't want to do all the other boring ones. And I would say those are really good side missions. However, by that point, I didn't think I would do any more side missions. I was kind of over it. I only did it because someone that loved this game and really wanted me to get the full experience told me about this. But I think a regular player that's just playing this game and doesn't really care about the world as much, or the side missions just annoyed them like they annoyed me, would probably miss all this. And this is good stuff, which is very unfortunate. And I really wish the side missions were worked on more. You could really tell that they ran out of budget on these missions, because there's no voiceover for most of them. Some of them have voiceover, some of them have partial voiceover, some of them have no voiceover. It's a mixed bag, and that does make the game feel a little bit cheaper. It sucks, but it is what it is. And the really key side missions do have cutscenes. They have stuff that you can really sink your teeth into, that you feel like you're actually getting something out of your time. But most of the side missions is just fetch quests, like I said, and it just doesn't feel like it's respecting your time. And that's a problem, because you might miss out on some really good story because stuff in the middle of the game just annoyed you and you're like, I'm done with this. Unless you're trophy hunting, you might not even want to go and do these side missions after a while, because it just feels like you're doing the same thing over and over in a new area. Yes, it's giving you a little bit of world building, but I don't think the payoff per time played is worth it for most people, unless they really want to know about the world, or they just want their platinum trophy, which is not very hard in this game as long as you put in the time. And for some people, time is very precious. So this brings me to the end of my video about this game and my overall rating. To be honest, I did have a lot of good things to say and just a few negative things, but I did go into more detail on the negative. But this game to me is a solid 9 out of 10. I can't put it any other way. It is a fantastic game. I'm so glad I played it. I enjoyed most of my time with it, about 90 to 95%. So 9 out of 10 makes perfect sense for me. This is something, if you own a PS5, that you should play if anything in this video appeals to you, from the combat to the story, anything like that. It is a fantastic game that I think everyone should enjoy. There's no reason to skip it unless all you do is play Call of Duty, because then this game's not for you, because you're just playing Call of Duty. I don't know why you're watching this video, maybe you're interested. In that case, give it a shot. Maybe you'll go on sale and then play it at full price. It is worth it. But again, I didn't buy this game. This was a borrowed copy, and I'm glad I was able to play it. I would have probably picked it up on sale in a couple months when, you know, it was like half off, and I probably would have enjoyed it. I might go back for the DLC. I might not. I haven't decided. But if there's a good enough sale, maybe. If you've enjoyed anything in this video at all, feel free to hit a like or maybe a dislike if you really didn't like it. And if you want, hit that subscribe button. If you hit the bell, even better. If not, that's cool. Just come back to my channel once in a while and see what else I got. And again, thank you for watching, especially if you made it this far. I appreciate your time, and hopefully I'll see you around. Bye.